Begin the current Daf Mesechtes Bava Metzia Daf Hey begins 6 lines down at the top of the Yomid, where the Gemara is in the middle of a conversation from the previous Daf, and that is we had a teaching of Reb Chia, which interestingly it actually came up because of a different teaching of Reb Chia, which we had a difficulty with the Tanatuna of that Reb Chia, which the reason why we introduced that was because it was related to the halach of our Mishnah. Reb Chia had first said was called Reb Chia Kamaisa. His first teaching was that although we know there's a halach of Moed B'Miktzis, when you admit to part of it, then you have to swear on the rest. He said a Kal V'Chomer. He says, well, if Hodos Piv is Mechayev you to swear on the rest, Kal V'Chomer Eidim. And the Gemara ultimately retained his teaching. We didn't refute it, but he said V'Tana Tuna, he proved it from the halach of our Mishnah, which when each one is holding on to half, Anat Sahadi, that what he's holding on to is his, so essentially it's like a case of that they're saying 50% is you owe to the other guy, and we see you have to swear. That the Gemara says that's not a raya because it's obviously not because of that halacha. It's because of Rabbi Yochanan's teaching of because we're afraid someone's going to grab it away. So we said, okay, you know what? There's a different teaching of Reb Chia that we could say is what he said b'tanatuna on our Mishnah, and that's the teaching that we have a machlekes between him and Reb Sheshes regarding the halach of halach, which is that when you are moed b'miktzis, but the part that you admit to, you're not saying, I have it, I'll pay you back, but and I deny the other half. It's his, halach, it's yours, take it. So that's the machlekes. Do we say that fundamentally that's a kofar hakoil? Because whatever I'm admitting, I'm not admitting, it's like it's yours, take it. I'm not admitting to part of the claim. And therefore you would not be chayav b'shvuah. Or would you say that, no, that you would still be chayav as it's still a moed b'miktzis ultimately, even though you're saying here, take it. That's machlekes between Reb Chia and Reb Sheshes. That's what the Gemara wanted to bring a raya for that teaching of Reb Chia from the halach of a Mishnah, which that's essentially a case of halach also, because like the guy's holding on to it. There's no bigger halach than that. Like the part that I'm saying it's all mine, zekula shali, and you're claiming for you it's kula shalach, and so I'm saying okay, the part that you're holding on to, you'll get it, and still we see chayav b'shvuah. Similarly, that's like Reb Chia that even by halach Yechayev b'shvuah. So that's what the Gemara continues asking now on Rav Sheshes, who had said that halach is going to be pater. The Gemara continues that discussion. Ashir corresponds to Necheskel, turns to Tafachem, Pishin turns to today's Daf, Shabbos Chus V'Chedim Bnei Yisrael, Eretz Yisrael, throughout the entire world. Some discussed in today's Daf are, like we said, regarding the halach of Moed B'Miktzis, several aspects of this halach, including halach, which we have this machlekes is halach chayev, required to swear, or is halach pater, not required to swear. Some of the other concepts that come up regarding shechi v'shuah is karkois, that we don't swear when it comes to properties, as we mentioned on this daf, the top of the Amid from the previous daf. Abar Shaimim, which is what we continue with regarding the 4 Shaimim, regarding their shvuas that they have to make. The machlek is it has to be moed b'minatayna. When you have moed b'miktzis, that the guy claims, let's say chitim, and you admit to sa'irim, is that also going to be mechayev a shvuah, or do we say not? Several other oaths the Gemara mentions are Shavuos Heses, which actually will take us into the next daf. Shavuos Heses is even if you're kofar hakoil, and Shavuos She'ein v'Shusai, for someone that has to swear that it's not in his possession. Let's say one of the Shemrim. And the Gemara discusses also regarding the concept of Chashav and Chashav Shvasa. Do we say there's someone suspect regarding the money? He's denying that. So what are you going to help giving him an oath to swear? He's following along his Aver Gur Zavera. He'll swear on that too. So we begin the current daf. In the previous daf we had mentioned, if someone says Manli biyadcha, look, you owe me 100 dinar. V'alayim, he says in biyadil chamishim zuz. So he admits to part of it, but vehelach, he says like, okay, it's yours. It's available for immediate collection. So that was the machlekes we had that Reb Chia held helach is chayiv, required to swear because you're moed b'miktzis, and Rav Sheshes held no helach is pater, not required to swear because the claim consists only of the portion he denies. If I call the rest that you're admitting, I'm not admitting it's yours. Take it. So the Gemara had asked on the top of the summit, it said, according to Rav Sheshes holds halach is pater, so why do you need a pasuk to exclude karka from Shavuah? We have the Torah tells us that you don't have to swear when it comes regarding karkos. I don't understand. Every karka is halach, so there should never be a chiyuv of Shavuos moed b'miktzis because what you're admitting to is already here. It's already. It's not something that I'm admitting and I'm going to give you. And you hold halach is pater. So what's the chiddush in karka? So the Gemara had 2 answers. Either the chava b'ayrish shichud ma'aris. No, he damaged the land, so you can't say halach. You can't say here it's ready for collection because you still have to. You have a liability for monetary compensation, Therefore, we needed to tell you a special limud that even though it's not halach, you part from shiur regarding karka, or the tutana kelim b'karkais, why the kelim b'kavet b'karkais? He only admitted to utensils. Yes, so so that's the chiddush. It's not a case of halach because you're only returning the utensils, which are not automatically in owner's possession. The karka is what you're denying. That's what teaching you that not only regarding the haidah of karka, but the denial of karka, any part of that would not contribute to the halacha of Maidim Miktzis. Now the Gemara, with this we're up to right now, tries to resolve this machlokes in the following brayso. Says the Gemara, 6 lines down at the top of the Yamid, Tashma, the Tan Ramacham taught a brayso. Arba Shomrim, there's the 4 types of custodians that the Torah talks about. The Torah says they have to swear regarding the position they're taking for their exemption. So those oaths that they take, he makes an important qualification. He says, Tzrichin kfira b'miktzis, v'haidah b'miktzis. It requires that they partially admit and partially deny what's being claimed against them. And that includes shemechinam, the unpaid custodian, when he says it was stolen from him, vashayil, regarding the borrower, and regarding the Sachar, the guy who's getting paid to watch, which Hashem Sachar is exempt when he says it was a oinus, it was something beyond his control. A shayli is exempt when it's Mesa Machmas Malach, when the animal dies because of the work he's doing with it. That's what he borrowed it for. He's not going to be chayiv for that. And V'aseicher, and the renter, which that's either like a Shemechinim or a Shemesachar. But be that as it may, as Rashi explains in the V'maschel Tzrichen, that a denial is only when you have an actual denial. Meaning either, let's say you say what's called lahadam, loy hoyu dvar ma'olim, this never happened, it's a denial, or I already give it back to you. And hoidah you don't have, unless you have a literal admission that, yeah, I have what you're claiming from me, that I have to give it back to you. So Rashi explains, comes out that the chiyuv of the shvuas hashayimim would only come if you have 3 cows that are being claimed. One of them he's denying, one of them he's admitting that he still has, and the third one is where you make the shvuah hashayimim that, let's say you're a shemesachar, that an oinus happened, or if you're shemechinam, you see regarding the third one that it was stolen, which that's what the Torah is machayev shvu in the parsha in Mishpatim, that he was not shaleich yad b'meleches re'ehu, that and it was stolen, so he's exempt. That's what he has to swear. He has to swear that he didn't misappropriate, didn't touch it. Because regarding the oath of the denial, that's not a shvu that says regarding the shemim. That has nothing to do with the Torah. That's not what the Torah is mechayiv regarding the shemim. Say, oh, I swear that I don't have it. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about where we know you had it, and you're just saying that it was an oinus, or that it was stolen. So what would the shvu be? That's not a shvu on the kfira. That's a shvu on shalach yadim b'meleches re'eyu, that he didn't touch it. Now, without a denial, you're also not chayav shvu shemim. Why? Why do you need a denial on part of it? Because it says by the parsha of Shemechinim ki hu zeh, which from that the Gemara learns out Shvus of Lamatesim and Beis that you're moide b'miktzis and you're kafa b'miktzis. Because ki hu zeh say, well, it's this and not that what you're claiming, which is a partial admission, which that excludes from the Manda Amr that we brought in Baba Kama not so long ago in Agoizel Kama of Zayin Menalev that said Erev Parshas Kasab Khan. He said no, this line is being mixed in from some other parsha. When it says ki uzeh, it's not really, although it says in the parsha of Shemechinim, it actually doesn't belong in the Shemechinim. It's actually going on the parsha of Imkesev Talves Ami, which is regarding the halacha of a loan. And that's what Rabbi Bacham is saying here in this brisa, that no, by Shemim, no, you also need to have a denial and an admission, and the oath that's in the parsha is going on the third cow. So ki uzeh is teaching you that you have to be partially admitting, partially denying. But what does it have to do with the shemechim? That's not that makes sense. It's by milva like we had in Baba Kama. That ki uzeh is like the guy's asking a certain amount of money. You're admitting to part of it. By a shomer, when the Torah talks about he trying to exempt himself when he says it's stolen, that's not a denial or admission. That's saying, yeah, you gave me this cow, but then it was stolen. So what does that have to do with ki uzeh? So that's what Rambam is saying. You're right. That's the third cow. Get off the hook for the one that we're acknowledging that he's saying it was stolen or that an oinus happened. So that's what the Bryce is saying. So now it says the Gemara, oh, sehechidami. the cow that you're admitting to, how does that cow, what's that case of that cow? Lav, isn't it that it's here in front of us? The Amalei, where he says, here, take it where it is, well, that's a case of Halach. And what do we see from the Brisa? That's a chiv shvua of the moedim miktzis that you have by the shemechinam, when you're the one that you're admitting to is right here, and you see therefore Halach is chayv like Reb Chia, not like Reb Sheshes. Says the Gemara, no, it's not true. That's not the case. The Amalei, it's not a case of Halach. Well, aren't you saying the animal's right here and he's admitting to it? No. He says to him, Gimel Paris Mesartilach. The claimant, the original owner, is saying, look, I give you 3 cows. That's his claim, is that they all died with negligence, and therefore you have to pay me back all 3 cows. And the Shomer says back to him, no. Chada, one of them, never happened. You never gave me that cow. That's a kvira b'miktzis. He's denying one of them. V'chada, one of them, meisa b'oinus, died with an oinus. It's on that one, like Rashi explains, that he swears the shvur sashayim. That's the one, like, yeah, you gave me pekadon, and I would be chavis b'shia, but I'm swearing that it was an oinus. That is the shvur sashayim. And v'chada meisa b'shia. And this is the other one. This is the one that he is admitting to. The third one of them, died with negligence. I have to pay that back to you. That's the one hoida. But the lav helachu, that's not helach. It died. I have to pay you. It's not ready for collection. So that's the 3 cows of kfira, hoida, and the one that he's making the shavua on. But it doesn't contradict Rav Sheshet because it's not a case of halach. The animal's not alive, the one that you're admitting to, and therefore that's why he chayiv. But maybe if the animal's alive, you're right, according to Rav Sheshet, that wouldn't qualify because he says you're not chayiv shud miktzis on a case of halach. Gemara says, okay, Tashma. Gemara says, let's try to bring another raya, meaning again another refutation of Rav Sheshet who holds that halach would make you pater. The Tani Avud did Rabbi Peitriki. The father of Rabbi Peitriki taught on Reb Chia Kamaisa. He taught a brisa relating to the first Reb Chia, which it was good that we introduced. As we said before, this is actually the whole evolutionary process why we're discussing this, because there was a first teaching of Reb Chia on Daf Gimel and Aleph. Chia wanted to say that you can't have that a guy's own admission should be greater in power than witnesses' testimony. So if when you admit the partial of the claim, you're chayav shvua by the mixes, then for sure when Eidim say you're chayav to have, for sure you can be chayav shvua on the other half that you're denying. So regarding that teaching, he taught the following brisa. If a guy says, look, there's 100 dinar that I have by you. The other guy says, not true. I don't know. I don't have anything that you have by me. I don't know you anything. Then witnesses come along and say, hey, look, we know that 50 zuz he has by him. You would think that now he has to swear regarding the rest. That's the pasuk says in Shemais, on any lost item that he says that this is what it is, which is, meaning he's made to him in part of it, the inference is that he's denying part of it. And what does it say over there previously in the parasha of Benikra Balabais Elikim, which the Gemara darshans on the Memalv Mebeis that Benikra means he's coming for a Shavua. So what do you learn out from this? When you chayv a Shavua, Al Hoidois Pivat Mechayvai. Only Asher Yoimar he was there. When he's saying yes to some of it, no to some of it, it's for his own admission that then you're chayv a Shavua by mitzvahs. And you cannot hold them liable on regarding the witness's testimony. Meaning, this is the Gemara's question on the teaching of Reb Chia. So, meaning the Gemara is essentially going back, meaning we had finished the parasha, we finished the conversation of Rav Sheshes. The Reb Chia Bas Raisa was actually a detour that we took. We had mentioned this Reb Chia Kamaisa, this first teaching Reb Chia, and then we said, okay, we didn't refute him, but we didn't like his Vatana Tuna. We didn't like that he was supporting himself in the halach of HaMishlah. So we said, okay, it's Reb Chia Bas Raisa, the halach of Halach, that what was he's supporting from the halach of HaMishlah, that you see that even though each one is holding on to it, and it's like Halach, that still you see you're going to be Chayav Shvua. And Rav Sheshet disagrees. He says, Yapater, and that's what the Gemara is discussing till now. We didn't refute either one of them. Now the Gemara is going back with Reb Chia Kamaisa to try to prove that teaching. And seemingly, this Bryce says clearly not like Reb Chia, Because Rabbi Chia's halacha was, if Eidim testify, you owe half, you can be chayav b'shvua on the rest. This brisa explicitly says that you can be pater. So the Gemara has a problem with this. Masnita koramas aled Rabbi Chia. You're taking a brisa to ask Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia tana hu apalig. Rabbi Chia is a tana, and of course he could disagree. There's no difficulty on taking a brisa and asking on Rabbi Chia. He disagrees. But says Gemara, yeah, but v'akral kamar. Our difficulty is that the brisa brings a pasuk. The pasuk says that it's only asher yomer kiyuzeh. When you say that it's like this and not like that, then you have, but not when witnesses testify. Says the Gemara, no hahu, that pasuk, Reb Chia needs lamoide miktzas hatayna. As Rashi explains, that it's to tell you that you're chayav b'shvu when you admit the partial of the claim. And then witnesses' testimony, we learn from Kabbalah Chemah, like we had said previously, because there's no extra pasuk to expound that this is a miut. You're right. Asher Yom Ki'uzeh says that when you admit the part and the deny part, chayav b'shvu. That doesn't tell us and not Eidim. Fakir. To the contrary, Eidim is learned out from a Kabbalah Chemah, like Rabbi Chia said. But says the Gemara, Bavavud Rabbi Poitriki Amalach, the father of Poitriki who taught this brisa, who says no, it excludes if witnesses testify. Amalach, he would tell you, no, ksiv hu v'ksiv zeh. It didn't have to say Asher Yom Ki Hu Zeh. It said Asher Yom Zeh, Asher Yom Hu. What's Asher Yom Ki Hu Zeh? There's two terminologies. Chad l'moed miktzas tiny. You're right. One is teaching the primary halacha that when you admit a part of the claim, that's what who is this? Like, and Zeh is also this. So you didn't need both the terminologies. So one of them is teaching the halacha that when they admit the part of it. But chad l'dos edim, one is coming to say regarding excluding the witness's testimony. The part that is going to be exempt. That's why the redundancy is to say that no, it's only by moed miktzas tiny and not when edim testify. But v'idach Rabbi Chia would tell you, you're right. You have a good point. There is an extra who and then the zeh. What's the extra one coming? That's teaching a different halacha. Chad l'moed miktzas hatayna, like we said, one's teaching the primary halacha when you admit the part of the claim. V'chad l'moed min hatayna, and the other one is that it has to be zeh. That it has to be that the admission of the defendant of the shomer has to be from the same type of the claim that he's denying. Where if let's say the claimant said you owe me a saw of wheat, and he admitted a saw of barley, or part of the barley, let's say half of that, that is going to be pater. And that's what it's teaching. Zeh has to be this. Has to be min hatayna. But if it's not, then you're not going to have the shvuah of moed miktzas. But Avud Rebbe Poitriki, who already uses zeh to exclude hadas edim, he actually holds moed min hatayna leslie. It doesn't have to be that the moed miktzas is specifically by the same type of a species. It could be something else. For someone like Rabbi Gamliel, he holds like Rabbi Gamliel did not like learn the Mishnah Masechta Shavuos. The Tana Kama holds that if your guy makes a claim of wheat and the guy admitted to barley, pater, you're exempt. It's moed miktzas, he's admitting to part of it, no shayches. He's asking for one thing, apples, and he's saying oranges. Gamliel doesn't hold such halacha. That goes well with the Avud Rebbe Poitriki because there's no extra pasuk to teach that has to be min hatayna because he learns it out to exclude the halacha of hadas edim. So this Reb Chia Kamaisa is a machlokes between Avud Rebbe Poitriki and Reb Chia regarding do we say that this halacha of if witnesses testify to half that he owes would we be mechayev b'shvu moed miktzas or not is a machlokes. Now the Gemara brings a story relating to Reb Chia Kamaisa, as we call it. Reb Chia Kamaisa just means the first teaching of Reb Chia that started this off regarding if there's moed miktzas and hadas edim, regarding hahuraya. There was a shepherd that every single day they would give him the animals to watch with witnesses. Now Taisa points it out, and the Masrile that it must be talking about where they also told him don't give it back only with witnesses, because if not, the Gemara Ksubas tells us even if you lend someone money with witnesses, you don't have to pay back with witnesses. And the whole purpose of why we're saying that they gave over every day with witnesses was because then they could contradict him regarding his claims. But be that as it may, that one day that they gave it over to him without witnesses. Now, you give it over without witnesses, so then you have no evidence. Let's say if I'm at the end of the day, he tells him, Well, that never happened. You didn't give me any animals to watch today. They didn't have witnesses that day. So there's no way of them proving. So us as a hadi asidabe, but then what happened was that there were witnesses that came along and testified regarding the shepherd, the achal tartiminayu, that actually they saw him eating two of the animals that he claimed he didn't get that day. So Amar Bezeri says like this. He says, if we hold the halacha is like this first teaching of Rabbi Chia, that holds when there's a claim, and then there's a edim that testify regarding partly that he owes, that he has to swear regarding the rest. So Mishtabei Hasha'ara, here this guy has to swear regarding the rest, because they used to give him over 20 animals a day to watch. They would give him witnesses. One day they had no witnesses, but there were witnesses so that he ate 2 of them. That's partially witnesses testifying. Rabbi Chia Kamaisa holds that that's a chiyuv of shum moedim miktzes with hadas edim. Abaye says, wait a second. Im Isa Mishtabeya, if it's true that you want to say that this guy should swear, but v'gazlahu, but this guy's a robber. Meaning, as Rashi explains, when did Rabbi Chia say his halacha that when Edom testify regarding some of it, that then you have to swear regarding the rest, is let's say by a loan, which a milva is like tzadnit, where the guy could be pushing off, or let's say by a deposit where he didn't touch it, it got lost. You could say that, okay, he doesn't want the guy to say demand it right now. So he's trying to buy time till he's able to find the money or to find the item. So that's what we say. Okay, fine. So you're going to chayav a shvua on the rest. But when the guy's a gazlan, so how does that help you? He's a liar. The guy is a thief. There we never said this halacha of a guy swearing because we don't trust such a person. It's only ishtamut mishnah. Then we say, the oath will stop him because he doesn't really want to lie. But this guy is a gazlan. The guy's ate the animals and he denied the whole thing. So there we never said this halacha. How could you impose Rabbi Chia Kamais over here? So Malay on that he said to him, no, shekenegdi kamina. I was saying that the other guy should be able to swear regarding the rest of the animals that they owe them, and they'll collect. Meaning, if the oath is imposed on this shepherd, the claimants will be able to swear and collect, as the Gemara says in Shvuas, the Memdal and Beis. When you have a chashad on a shvua, when the guy suspects regarding an oath, which he can't swear, chum masakin that the connector, the other litigant, actually swears and collects. So although generally biblical law is the defendant swears and exempts himself, but when we can't, like here is a gazlan, that's what I meant, that the other one, which actually tastes in the Master Shekenegdi, asks, why is it different when a guy is chashad on a shvu, you're saying that the other guy should swear and collect? Why don't we say because he can't swear, he has to pay? As the Gemara tells later in the Tzadiches, when the guy says, well, 5 I know, 5 I don't know, or the famous case in Shavuos or in the Naschad Rababa, if a guy can't swear, he has to pay. So why over here are we saying that the other guy should have to swear? And that's a taste of 2 important points. It says over here, if you would say the guy has to pay, then this guy would never be able to survive because everyone's going to try to get business with him, and they're going to mechav but he's never going to be able to swear because he's a gazlan, so they're going to take whatever they want to. That's not appropriate. Additionally, he says, all the cases that we say this principle of that since he can't swear he has to pay is by a shvu deraisa, where the guy says, look, either swear or pay, and he can't swear. But here the guy wants to swear if we let him. We're not letting him because he's a gazlan. So therefore he doesn't have to pay, and we'll say shekenegdi kamina. So that's what he was saying that, so Abzer wasn't saying that the guy himself should swear, because like Abaye asked, the guy's a gazlan. He meant the other guys who own the animals, they should swear and collect. But however, says the Gemara, but even now, the lesser Reb Chia, why are you saying that this halacha would only be if we held of Reb Chia Kamaisa, then the guy would swear? Even now that we don't have Reb Chia, and there would be no Haidah b'miktzis, because we don't say that the witnesses are making like a Moed b'miktzis, Nechayve, we should still obligate a Shavuos Heses mid Rav Nachman, from Rav Nachman, that says that and like Rashi explains, meaning shekenegda, the other guy should swear and collect. Obviously, this guy can't because he's a gazlan. But why does it have to be dependent on B'chia Kamaisa? They don't learn the Mishnah Masechta Shavuos that says, "Mani libiyadcha." A guy says, "You owe me 100 dinar." Another guy says, "No, ein lecha biyadi. I don't owe you anything." So the Mishnah says pater because he's kafir hakol. He denies everything. But the Amar of Nachman, he says, "Mashbi noisei Shavuos Heses." We have him take the rabbinic oath called Shavuos Heses. So Rashi explains what's the etymology of the word Heses. It's an oath that the Chachamim incited the person to induce him to admit. As the Gemara explains in Masechet Shavuos of Memem Beis, there's a chazaka, there's a presumption. A guy doesn't make a claim unless there's really where they smoke this fire. A guy doesn't just make a random claim. If he's making a claim, there's reason for us to believe that there is some validity. So even the guy is totally denying it's not the Moed B'Miktzes, but the Rabbanan instituted what's called a Shavuos Hesed. We want to induce you, want to incite you to go ahead and admit. So why do you have to say only Holy B'Chi Kamais the guy's going to swear? What do you mean? You have Reb Nachman's halacha of a Shavuos Hesed. Even the guy totally denies, he still has to swear. Says Gemara, no. I'll explain to you why. The Rav Nachman, the Shavuos Hesed that Rav Nachman introduces to us is a takantahi, is a rabbinic institution because biblically there's no oath when you're koyfer hakol. It's only when you're moed b'miktzes, when you admit the part of it. So as the Gemara continues on the base, the takanta, which as Rashi explains, this whole halacha of shekenegdu yishav v'yitol, that the claimant should be able to swear and collect, is also a takan rabbanan. Because biblically, it's only the guy that has to pay that swears and he gets himself off the hook from paying. Biblically, there's no nishba v'nayit. He can't swear and collect. Those that are mentioned, Masechet Shavuos Memdal Mabeis, are takan chachamahu. So, for a biblical oath, we'll make a rabbinic institution. But to make a takanta of shekenegdi yishava v'yitol litakanta for a rabbinic oath in the first place of Shavuos Hesed, lo yavdin, that we wouldn't do. That's a takanta we say many times in the Gemara. We don't do a double takana. And that would be double rabbinic, because the Shavuos Hesed is rabbinic when you're koyfer hakol. And the shekenegdi yishav v'yitol, because the guy's a gazan that he can't swear to have the other guy do it, is also takanta. So therefore, it was only if you hold Rebchia Kamaisa. Rebchia Kamaisa is the biblical oath of Moed B'Miktzes. Rebchia learns out from a Kabbalah Chaimer from the halacha that says in the Torah of Kiyuzeh. That's biblical. Then you could say the rabbinic institution takanta of kenegdi yishav v'yitol. That's only if you hold Rebchia Kamaisa. Although we hold the Rav Nachman that when you're koyfer hakol, there's still a rabbinic oath of Shavuos Hesed, but he can't swear because he's a gazlan. We saw him eating two of the animals. And therefore, that's why it was based on Rebchia Kamaisa. But then the Gemara is asking now on Abaya. Abaya had asked, he was bothered with the fact that he said that he's a gazlan. How could you, Reb Zera, say that the guy should swear? There's a gazlan, and the gazlan is not allowed to swear. So Reb Zera said, you're right. I didn't mean the guy himself. I meant the other guys, the owners. But the Gemara is asking now on Abaya. But typically, but what do you mean? Even if there was no gezela that where they saw, let's say, two witnesses seeing him eat two of the animals, the shepherd should still be possible for an oath. Why do you have to come out to gezela? Just because Davalei Raya, they were labeling people. Just because he's a shepherd. Because Rabbi Yehuda says, Stam Raya in general, a shepherd, even if no one ever testified that he stole, he's puzzle, he's invalid for testimony. Because we presume that he's a gazlan. Because what do shepherds do? They have their animals graze in other people's fields. So why do you have to say that because they had two witnesses who saw that they ate two of the animals? That to say that, okay, now he can't swear. He's just a shepherd. A shepherd can't swear anyway. So what do you need that for? So the Gemara says, so the Gemara is going to get exactly. The Gemara is going to point that out exactly. The point in 1 second. Good question. So the Gemara says, Loi kasha, it's not difficulty. Why? Because this teaching of Rabbi Yehuda that we just said, that in general a raya is invalid, is D-Day. When he grazes his own animals, he's puzzled for shvu and for edus because we presume, for his own personal benefit, he has his animals graze in other people's fields. So such a person would be invalid. But the Alma, Reb Zera's teaching, which Abaye was qualifying, goes in general, meaning when he shepherd for other people's animals in town for pay, for other people's benefit, he's not going to sin to have them graze until they get to some other hefker place. He doesn't care about their animals so much. And so therefore that's the answer, meaning Abaya couldn't ask their shepherds. It was a shepherd of other people's animals. He's not a stomach gosling. It's only because we saw. But a guy for his own animals, that's Rabbi Yehuda says he's possible. And the Gemara says what someone just pointed out. Because if you don't say this, in other words, if you don't say that when someone is a shepherd for other people's animals, that you're going to say that if you're going to say that he's generally a goslin, how do we give our animals to shepherds? If you say that every shepherd is going to be a goslin, it says in the Torah, in front of the blind person, don't put a stumbling block. And if he's going to be having it eat from other people's fields, you can't do that because you're causing him to stumble. Well-known halachic principle. There's a presumption that a person does not sin if it's not for him. People sin for their own personal investment. And when it's his own animals, then we say that he's going to be possible. When it's other people's animals, then we don't. And therefore, that's why Abai had to say it's a gazlan and not enough for the shepherd. And that's why we're allowed to give our animals to the shepherds, because they're not going to steal from other people's fields for our animals. Our animals get the back seat. They don't really care so much about our stuff. Now, going back to Allah of the Mishnah, we had mentioned this classic case of Shnai Machs and Metalis. Two people are holding on to a talis. And we said, as the Gemara quotes, Zeh Yeshava She'en Lo B'Pachas Mechatzi V'chulu, very interesting wording. And that's what the Gemara is going to discuss. This guy swears that he doesn't have in it less than half. This guy swears he doesn't have less than half. And v'yachleiku, and they divide the talis. So the Gemara, in a very interesting rhetorical way, asked the following question. He says, I don't understand. Al the isle mishtabeya? A guy who's coming to swear to take half, does he have to swear that he has half of the talis, meaning on what he has? Or is he swearing on what he doesn't have? Meaning, because the Gemara is like poking at the Mishnah's wording, like, oh, he's swearing that he doesn't have less than half? Well, you're swearing what you don't have? Meaning, what's bothering the Gemara is, as Rashi explains, is, yeah, maybe you don't have less than half, because maybe you have nothing. Well, you're swearing that you don't have less than half, in other words, when he's swearing that he doesn't have less than half, maybe he's saying the truth, because maybe he actually has nothing in it. Right? If you're saying, I swear I don't have less than half, right? You're right, you don't have less than half, you have nothing. And that would be the truth. In other words, as Rashi explains, if the guy truthfully had a third of it, or he had a quarter of it, and he's swearing that he doesn't have less than half, so that would be a lie, because you do have less than half. You have a third, which is less than half, and you don't have half. But when you have nothing, you're saying the truth. So that's not good wording. Maybe you have nothing, and then you're swearing, and you're true oath, and then you'll get half. Now, Taisa points out in the Masechta the Islam Mishabeh, says, even though we know the halachic principle, Gemara tells us in Masechta Shavuos that when you take an oath, it's not your own intentions, how you think of it. It's al das bezdin. We know what bezdin means, but Taisa says, yeah, but the question the Gemara is asking, you shouldn't have made a shvua that the wording doesn't sound like necessarily indicative that you have half. Why are we saying such interesting wording? It doesn't sound appropriate. It sounds like you might be saying the truth when you actually have nothing. So the Gemara says in Rav Huna, he says, you're right. It's not exactly like we said. It's that the Amar first is a step that's missing here. First, shvua sheyesh li ba. I swear that I do have something here in the talis. So that's a prerequisite, obviously, because we said if not, the guy might be swearing truth when he says, I don't have less than half, because you got nothing. No. First he says, I swear that I have something in the talis. Now, maybe you're going to say, but maybe I only have a third or a quarter. That's when I swear, and I swear I don't have less than half. Okay, now we know it's not nothing, and now we know that's not less than half.
What's wrong with the other way around? Just saying.
Oh, so that's all the Gemara's question. Says Gemara, but name say, Shvu shekula shali. You're saying kula shali. You're saying kula shali. But go ahead, get up and get on the podium and swear that I swear that it's all mine, because that's what you're claiming. Which Taisa points out in the Masech says the Gemara's question obviously is only according to Rabbanan of Benanas, who we mentioned Benanas in the Beis and Beis, that he's concerned for Shavua Shav. We can't let them both get up and swear that I swear it's all mine, because someone's going to be swearing falsely. But the Rabbanan, they're not concerned for that. So according to Rabbanan, get up, swear to your claim that I swear it's all mine.
It's possible to swear, I believe it's all mine, and therefore you're not sure, you believe so.
I don't know what that means.
We could be
Yeah, I don't know what that means. Just swear your claim.
What?
Can't swear to me.
Right.
No, I believe. Didn't say
Believe? Emunah?
No, because I held it first.
Right.
Emunah, I believe in God.
But that sounds like they
Because
would.
I believe I caught it first, therefore I believe it's all mine. So you have a way out of not being sure shot.
What's a belief? Why are you so excited about belief?
He's saying what he believes.
I know, but there's no halachic validity. In a court of law, we don't care what you believe.
No, because
We want to hear a definitive claim.
no, because
If he doesn't know, then you don't know. I'm saying we have to.
he says he believes so.
We don't care what you believe. We care if you believe in Hashem. We don't care if you believe that something is yours. If you know, then swear. If you don't know, then don't swear. But that's what the Gemara is asking. The Gemara is saying, why you just swear what you're claiming. So the Gemara says, no, you can't do that, because do you give him the whole talis? In other words, his friend's holding on to the other half. If they're going to be swearing on the whole thing, it's like the way Rashi says, it's a laz, it's going to spread rumors about the court, because the guy swore it's all his, and they're saying divided? What does that mean? Why are you dividing it? Each guy swore that it's all his. So, because we don't give him the whole thing, it wouldn't be appropriate to have him swear on the whole thing. But then the Gemara says, okay, but just, why are you saying such interesting wording? I swear I don't have less than half. The name is shvur. Swear half is mine, because anyone's giving him half. I swear half is mine. The Gemara says, no, that wouldn't be appropriate either, because morally debure. Now he's creating a flaw in his own words. You first said, kula shali, and now you're saying explicitly, half is mine? That wouldn't be an appropriate word either. So the Gemara says, well, hashanami morally debure. Now also he's creating a flaw in his word. You're swearing, I don't have less than half. What do you mean? Didn't you say before it was all yours? So they want to know. That's not problematic. Because the Amar Kulishali is saying it's all mine. Uladivreichem, according to your words that you don't believe me in the whole thing, Shavua Shieshli Ba. That's why he said it's really two steps. I swear I have rights over here. I don't have less than half. That doesn't mean I have only half. That means I have the whole thing.
Why didn't the Mishnah say like that?
This is exactly what the Mishnah is saying. This is the Mishnah saying, I don't have less than half. Why are we picking such interesting wording? Because you can't say all mine because you're not getting all. You can't say half because that's not the word you said before. So you're saying, I swear that I don't have less than half. That means to say, like we said, I do have. How much? Well, definitely not less than half because we're giving you half, so that's what you're going to swear on. But yeah, really you're claiming it's all yours. So now the Gemara asks and says, wait a second. The Gemara has a question on the Mishnah. Now, this guy's grabbing and holding half. This guy's grabbing and holding the other half. True Zulama. They're both presumed to be the owners because of the half that they're holding. They should divide it without swearing. What's the point of the oath? So that we already quoted this previously in Daf Gimel. Amr B'Yechon, it says, yeah, right. It's a rabbinic oath. They rabbinically instituted this oath. We don't want each person to go and to grab a hold of the other guy's jacket. You can say it's mine. And they come to court. The court says, Bezdin Paskins, you get half. To avoid that, they instituted this oath. But then the Gemara asks on Rabbi Yechanan. Rabbi Yechanan, who just said this halacha, who he's saying that where does shvur come from? Because the rabbis suspected that maybe someone's going to go and grab the guy's jacket and say it's mine. If you're suspecting a guy to do such a thing, then let's follow that theory. V'nema, then you should say, since he's suspected regarding stealing, regarding money, he should be suspected regarding swearing. The guy's he's all in. He's not just, what's the difference between stealing or between swearing? So the Gemara says, no, there is a difference. We don't say that once a person is suspected regarding monetary, he's suspected regarding swearing. Why? So Rashi explains that it's severe to people, the prohibition of a shvuah, more than the Isra Gzela. It's just something that by people, it feels like that. Taisa says differently. He says, well, of course, the whole world shook when Hashem, the Medrash brings when Hashem said, and because of that, that obviously is more severity, and therefore people will not swear even though they will steal. And the Gemara says, I'll prove it. How am I going to prove it? If you don't say this, but this that the Torah says, that when you admit to part of a claim, that you have to go ahead and swear. Wait a second. How could the Torah tell you to do that? Nema, why don't you say, you're suspecting the guy, right? You're saying that maybe he's admitted to half, but really he really owes the whole thing. So that's why you're making an oath. Why don't you say suspect regarding oath? What's the point of the oath? If he's stealing, then he'll lie too. Obviously, that we don't say, the Gemara says, no, it's not a raya. There, and we said this principle already previously, he's not suspect regarding the money. He doesn't plan on stealing it. He's just buying time. Rabba, like Rabba said, as we said previously, why does the Torah say, because it really wants to deny the whole thing, wants to admit the whole thing. We explained that really he's just buying time. So it's not chashamayna. The shvu is going to stop him in his tracks. Say, I can't swear falsely. I'll have to admit. But not because it's really chashamayna. The Gemara says, Teda, you should know that we don't suspect the guy for stealing, and that we know he's just buying time, because the Amar Vida Bar Ava and the Rav Chizda says the following halacha. He says, a koifer b'milva, if a guy denies a loan that was lent to him, and witnesses come along, and they establish that the guy is lying. They testify that no, he owes him on the loan. The halacha is kosher le'edis. How is a guy kosher to be a witness? What do you mean? The guy said he doesn't owe the loan, and a witness come along and say he does owe. So obviously, His intent was never to steal the money, to then say, oh, the Torah says, Al Tashas Eit Chamas, you can't have a thieving witness testify. No, he wasn't a Russia. He was just trying to get out of it for the meantime to buy himself time. Whereas B'Pekadin, that's different. If a guy was denying a deposit, then Pasal Eidus, then he is invalid for testimony because there's no Ishtamuti over there. A deposit was never meant to be used. It's right there. And if it got lost, let him claim it got lost and let himself off the hook. So there it's different. So because there's no delaying, it's here, it's somewhere in your house. What's the point of denying that? Now, however, the Gemara asks a question on this point. Rambam Chama, as we taught this on Amud Aleph, he says, the 4 shem we said, like we said, the case of the 3 cows, has to have admitting part, denying part, and then the other one that you're making your claim that would exempt you as that type of shem. The unpaid custodian, the borrower, the paid custodian, and the renter. The question is, you tell me there's going to be a chiyuv of a shibua, of a shem in those cases. Wait a second. Name a migid chashadim. Why don't you say that the guy, since he's suspect regarding the money, because, like we said, one of them he's saying, L'hoy dvar me'olam. One of the cows, he's saying, never happened, which that's denying a pekadain. So that's why it's asking on this previous thing we just said in the Gemara. And you can't say mishtamid over there. So would this be another raya, first of all, that we don't say migid chashamayna chashavasa, and moreover, it's a question on what we just said before, that when it comes to pekadain, well, you can't say mishtamid, then you should say migid chashamayna chashavasa. So says the Gemara, no, hasam nam ishtamuti kamishtam. It's not true. There also is the guy is meaning essentially what the Gemara is asking is that I understand on the shvur shaymin, the one that he's claiming that it was an oinus, that the Torah obligates him in an oath. You could say that he's not chashad amayna, meaning we're just concerned that maybe he was negligent with the shmira, and the Torah obligates him to pay for whatever happened. And he thinks, okay, until I have money, I'll pay up the guy. There you could say shtamute. But the one that he's denying, well, that's most definitely denying a deposit and he's lying. So how can you make him swear? Says, no, that could also be a case of where he's buying time because it got lost. And somebody thinks, he says, I'll find the thief and I'll catch him. Or I'll find it in the swamp and I'll bring it. So the one that he's saying is also just because he's buying time. It's not here in this house. So therefore, that's why you could be chayiv b'shvua, and we don't say migid chashamayna chashavasa because it's a shtamute case. So the Gemara says, wait a second. If that's the case, that you just told me that by pekadin you could also say ishtamute, and it's not chashad amamayna by the case of pekadin because the guy could say, yeah, even though it wasn't a loan that money's supposed to be spent, it should be right here in my house. It's not. It got lost. So then wait a second. How do we understand the halacha that we said from Rav Chizda HaKoife b'Bekadon? If someone denies by Bekadon, am I pasal edus? Why then do you say over there that it's pasal edus? Name ishtamuti kamishtamit. Why don't you say the guy's buying time? So everybody thinks adabachashna, which until I check umeshkachna and I'll find it. So therefore I'm denying it only because I don't want you to press me right now. I'm going to have to sell stuff to pay you back. I'll find it, but for now I'm just denying it. But why can't I swear? It's not chashamayna chashavasa. I'm ishtamute. Says the Gemara, Kiyamrina Koifer Bebekadon Pasal Edis. You're right. When was Rav Chizda's halacha of this idea that if someone denies the deposit, it's possible edis? Is going to us a sahadi vasidabe, where witnesses came and testified regarding him that he shied to that moment isle Bebekadon bebeise vavayada, that the deposit's in his house and he knows about it. So you can't say, oh, he was ishtamute. They're saying we saw it in his house, in his backyard. That grill that he's denying is there right in his house. So it wouldn't apply ishtamuti over there. Or Inami, or the Havanoket Lebayada, he was holding it in his hand, upon him, it's talking about where it wouldn't apply ishtamute. In contrast to a loan, there's always ishtamute, because money is always meant to be spent, and the guy doesn't have enough money yet, whatever, and therefore that's the difference. But you're right, Pekadon technically could have cases of ishtamute too. But the Gemara asks another question. It says, Elohad Amar Rav Huna. Rav Huna says later on the Perka Mafkid, regarding the halacha of, let's say, a guy could swear and exempt himself from his shmira, where he could say it was stolen and he'll be exempt if he swears to that, but he doesn't want to take an oath. So he says, no, I'm just going to pay. He doesn't want to swear. Rav Huna says, not so fast. Even if he comes to pay, mashbi'in, say, first we make him swear, a shiur she'ein b'rshusai. We make you swear that, wait a second, that you don't have it, because we're concerned that you're not such a big tzaddik. It's not like you don't want to swear and you want to pay, because you actually like the guy's coat that he left for you to watch. And you actually, or the watch that he left you, and you want to keep it now. So he says, I'll pay for it. Because it's hard to get that Rolex. It's not available anymore. So he says, I'll pay for it. So we're concerned that maybe he wants it. You have to first swear that you don't have it in your possession. And that it's actually lost. And then you'll pay for it. Says the Gemara, wait a second. What's this shvu over here? Why don't you say that since he suspects regarding the money, he suspects regarding the oath? What would be the purpose of making him swear? You obviously suspect him regarding the money. Obviously, this proves the point of you don't say Says the Gemara, no, it's not true. It's not a raya. Why? Hasim over there, he's not chashad a mamayna. Why? What do you mean he's not suspected regarding the money? What you're swearing that you're making him swear that's not by him. Obviously, we suspect that he's stealing it. No, because nami moira. This is what's called moira heter. He's instructing himself as a permitted way because v'amar he's saying, "Demei koyehivnale." What do you mean? I'm not stealing. I'll give him money. So he's moira heter, which we all do. We rationalize and we say that I'm not doing anything wrong. So, but make an oath. I'm not going to take a false oath. But to take it, that he thinks he's doing okay. So one last question. The Gemara says, says, how could the guy rationalize? Who cares if the guy suspects regarding leisachmet to be lusting after someone else's items? Who cares if he suspects regarding stealing? You should say once he suspects regarding an aveira, so he should suspect regarding an oath. What's the difference? He's over leisachmet. Says the Gemara, no, leisachmet le'inshi. People think leisachmet is below demei mashmalu. They think it's only without money. So he thinks, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm paying for it. So therefore, he's not chashad amamayna. He doesn't think he's doing anything wrong. Therefore, when it comes to shvu, that would stop him. And therefore, there is no raya that we have regarding chashad and chashad asa, because these are not cases of chashad amamayna. The Gemara continues on the next daf, trying to prove this point of migdal chashad and chashad asa. Thank you to any time. Those things.